meeting.
Well, thank you all for coming. I'm going to call the meeting of the Library Committee to order. And we're going to begin with a roll call since this is a hybrid meeting. So I'm just going to ask you all to introduce yourselves and your role on the committee. Tom?
Tom Pendleton, Vice Chair.
Vicky Giannettos.
Sandy Guy from Capital Budget Committee.
Susan Britta, representative for the Planning Committee.
John Greco, Construction Representative.
Judy Connors Tarver, I'm the chair.
I'm not on the committee, but I'm Phoebe Atchison. I'm the acting library director.
Joseph Liprek, staff, Yarmouth Town Libraries.
Oh, I forgot to say that I was like a West Yarmouth user.
Yes.
Representative.
Yes, you are. Okay, so Dorcas is not here, maybe yet, and Mindy is doing a snow cone event at West Yarmouth Library, and she thought she might fly in at the end, but we'll see. We'll give her if she does not. So we have a lot of business to take care of, so let's try and get our housekeeping done quickly. Now, we had some issues with minutes. Sandy and I went to a training on the open meetings law updates. And one of the things with minutes is if they need to be corrected after we've accepted them, then we need to do that with a correction, but then they have to go back through the town clerk's office. So it's a little bit of a process and, it just keeps everybody's records clear. So we understand the importance of that. The other thing is that when presentations are given, they are also part of the record. So we're trying to get past presentations that Matt has done so that they are linked to our online minutes. And then we're going to have to make sure the PDFs from those presentations are attached to the minutes. So there's just some housekeeping things, but there will also be a training for updates with open meetings law for every committee member. And I think, did they say October?
Yeah, sometime in the fall.
Okay, so the town clerk's office will be putting that together. So anyway, we have August 7 minutes here. And can I have a motion to accept?
And I don't think the copy is over second. I have the
No.
right 28.
Okay.
Unmute them.
Oh, that's from last time, yeah. Susan, that's because Mary Alice is out and she wants to.
Okay, thank you.
Still in the kitchen house. Let's try to put on your phones. Again.
That's Jen didn't mute herself.
Jen didn't mute herself.
Jen has muted herself.
Hey, everybody, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Wonderful.
I'm here, but I muted myself too.
So, do
Thank you all.
Do you need a motion to accept these?
Yes, I do.
I
Thank you.
move that the minutes of the Library Committee meeting of August 7th be accepted.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any conversation about these minutes? Hearing none, take a vote. All those in favor of accepting?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, did you get a good count on that, Sandy?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, now, we also have the July 1 minutes here because they had a conflict in them. At one point, Vicky was making a statement and in another place she was
Yeah.
absent.
Yes, I'll tell you.
Well, let's just stick with July 1.
Right.
Okay,
I wasn't there for that one.
you weren't there. Okay.
But on August 13th, I was, and it said that I wasn't.
Okay,
All right,
So we
let's
have to
do
fix
July
that.
1 first.
yeah, we're doing July 1 and we don't have August 13 minutes yet.
Yeah, but can we change the August 13 one?
Not
And
till-
correct
not
it
till we
after
have.
we-
Yeah,
not
yeah,
till
not till we have them.
we have-
So they may get corrected before they're even presented at the meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
And I was present on June 17th and May 1st. Yeah, okay.
Are those
The other ones were correct. The July ones were correct. The other ones.
Okay.
There was one error on the July one. I said you read the Zoom and actually we went back and looked at the tape. I read the Zoom.
Oh, no, no,
So
no.
I will fix that.
No, 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 that was on August 13th was a mistake. July 1st, I wasn't here. Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So what is the correction for July 1st? She says she wasn't here. Isn't that
I
correct?
wasn't on July 1st.
Yeah, I already fixed it.
So
So this-
that's been corrected. All
it's
right.
been corrected. We had already approved minutes
Okay.
for this date. So that's the correction, so everyone knows.
This is Sandy correction.
I'm sorry,
This correction up here, is that the correction?
this is the correct version. Yeah, the
Okay.
one that we're seeing now. So can I have a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Susan. A second.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now, we're going to move right into public comment for folks who would like to share their 2 cents with us. Would anybody here would like to speak to us? Okay. Oh, you would? Okay.
Like to introduce myself. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody.
But yeah, you know what? You need to come closer just so you're close enough to the mic.
To be
Yeah.
captured.
Oh, it's on the table.
Yeah,
You
just
see-
have a
Tom,
seat
could you
with
pull
us.
down that,
Yeah.
thing?
There.
Yeah.
All right, now that you're situated, welcome.
Thank you for all your hard work and, dedication for this committee. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Kelly Sears Jacobson. My dad was John Sears III, and my grandfather was John Sears Jr. They both served as Yarmouth selectmen at one point or another. I'm sure you're familiar with
Mhm.
both of them. I'm 12 generations Cape Codder, 5th generations just here on Old Main Street. And basically my dad's whole life was pretty much here on Old Main Street. He went to church next door, school at John Simpkins, went to the library here. He did his banking across the street.
Yeah.
He resided at 251 Old Main Street. He was on the Yarmouth Fire Department for 30 years. As well as he played ball on the Joshua Sears Memorial Playground, which is commonly known as the Sears Field. So I would like to respectfully correct it as not the Simpkins Field, it's the Joshua Sears Field, commonly known as the Sears Field, okay? So who was Joshua Sears? I just want to kind of paint a different picture of who Joshua Sears was. There are 2 Joshua Searses. There's a Memorial Joshua Sears for the playground, and then there's my brother, Joshua Sears, that passed away, who was, the Little League field was named after him, which happens to be on the Sears Field, the Sears Memorial Field. So my relationship to Joshua Sears was, well, first of all, he was born on August 20th of 1791, and he died February 7th of 1857. So 8 days ago, he would have been 234 years old. Incredible. So although I'm not a direct descendant to him, his grandmother was my 5th great grand aunt. His grandmother was Susanna Howes and her sister was Mercy Howes. So that's how I go back. So Joshua would be my cousin, and I'm not quite sure, 5th cousin once removed, or I haven't quite figured that part of it out yet. That's confusing. But one thing that my dad and my grandfather cared about was the preservation of land. My grandfather dedicated or donated land over by Crab Creek. And there's a memorial rock there that states Town of Yarmouth, first conservation land donated by John G. Sears Jr. so that his love for nature may be enjoyed by all. My dad was also, responsible for the Anniversary Park right down the street here, as well as the Sea Holly Park on, in West Yarmouth, as the Memorial Park at DY. So he was on many committee, and he was like all for the beautification and preservation for the land in the town of Yarmouth. His dedication goes way back. So trying to get, with all that said, I've been trying to get inside my dad's head, his way of thinking, because he had a specific way of thinking and speaking. And what he would think. So first of all, he loves books. And I now have all of his personal, collection of
Library,
books,
yeah.
history books, genealogy. Those are now mine to try to figure out what to do and, possibly donate to library, right? So I would imagine that he would not be opposed to a new library, maybe just not necessarily build a new one, but to perhaps use and repurpose vacant buildings or ones that we already have. I can't speak for him, so I don't know that he would say that. Um, I want to go back a little bit to Joshua Sears' estate. This is from the Boston Daily Advisor in September of 1865. Joshua Sears left a will, which was deposited in the probate office in Barnstable. The estimated value of his property was 1.6 million. Of this amount, the sum of 15,000 was bequeathed to the town of Yarmouth for the establishment of a nautical school. So I have pulled out, and my dad has every year, the annual reports going back to, I don't know how long. But this is from the Town of Yarmouth Annual School Report from 1931. And in it, it states the Joshua Sears Playground Fund is well known to most of the older townspeople, but for the benefit of those who have more lately come to live here, may be said that this fund was given by Joshua Sears, a native of Yarmouth, a few years before the Civil War to establish a school of navigation and kindred sciences. After the war, the rapid decline of maritime life on Cape Cod evidently checked the carrying out of the donor's plan. So the years have gone by with this fund not having been applied to any permanent purpose. In cooperation with the nearest living heirs of Joshua Sears, town officials arranged to have this fund devoted to the development of a school playground and athletic field, such field to bear the name of the donor of the fund in harmony with the wishes of heirs. A member of the building committee, Mr. Samuel D. Elmore, as an attorney, rendered valuable help in carrying through the proper legal procedure in the probate court to make this application of the fund correct and sound for all time. Very generously, Mr. Elmore rendered the service to the town gratis. And then by means of this fund, the comprehensive plan was conceived by the landscape architects, Warren H. Manning Offices Incorporated, and adopted by the building committee. Much of the work necessary for a well-developed school playground and athletic field has been done. The grounds have been cleared and graded, the football and baseball fields leveled, topsoiled and seeded. And I believe my grandfather was instrumental in all that too. And one tennis court constructed, a handsome brick memorial wall with gateway opening out to a flagpole on the mound. Landscape appropriately has been completed. The landscape architect's plans provide further development when the time is right. And then also I pulled out the Town of Yarmouth financial report, December 31st of 1932. And it states at the annual meeting, February 10th, 1931, the town authorized the selectmen to petition the probate court for authority to use the Sears Fund in the requirement laying out, construction, upkeep, and maintenance of the playground for athletic purposes contingent to and in conjunction with its school building to be known as Joshua Sears Playground. It also authorized the setting apart from the Sears Fund the sum of $5,000 as a reserve fund, the income of which to be used for the annual maintenance of the playground, providing the court authorized such use. The story of this Sears Fund and the progress made with the athletic field was told in the last annual report of the school committee. The building committee having in mind the memorial character of the project, felt that it would be only just to the memory of the donor and courtesy to his heirs to properly and permanently mark the fields. So I just wanted to, getting back into my dad's mind, I just thought it was important that we know who Joshua Sears was and how it came to be. And I'm not opposed to a new library. I love libraries. I grew up coming to this library. But getting to the way he thought, I go back to an example of the Bass River Bridge.
Mhm.
They wanted to rename the Bass River Bridge. And his response to that was, it's the Bass River Bridge. It always has been the Bass River Bridge, and it should continue being the Bass River Bridge. Well, applying that type of thinking to this particular circumstance, relaying it to the new library, being proposed to being built on this said property, I would imagine that he would say it is the Joshua Sears Playground and has always been the Joshua Sears Playground. Let's find a better, more suitable spot that will satisfy all for futures to come. And just a thought, our family home is up for sale, 251 Old Main Street, so maybe the town might be interested in buying our the home to be used as a library. He would love that. So thank you for your time.
Kelly, thank you so much.
you.
And it's not typical for us to respond directly to people who in public comment. However, we will be getting, I've worked all day on this, and a lot of what you're saying was you saved me a lot of breath. So by laying out that history, because that's what I've been doing all day. So thank you. And we will get to it. You want to sit there for it? Yeah. Yeah.
I also want to note that you are not alone in thinking that.
Yes,
Many
right.
people feel that way.
Yeah.
And again, I read what Judy said, thank you for bringing it to our attention and the sincerity with which you brought it to our attention, and you are not alone. Many people feel that way. So we do thank you for bringing it to our attention, and obviously we're going to try
We
to
have
do
to
something
factor
about
it
it,
in.
but
Absolutely.
it has a long history that's consistent with the Capeness of Cape Cod and the things that we cherish and the things that we hold dear, the things that make things Cape Cod. It's wonderful to say we have a playground that's 200 years old.
Mhm.
That's just not many people can say. Not many towns in the country are 200 years old, let alone have a playground that's 200 years old. So it's very commendable, and thank you for bringing all of that information. to
I
our
wasn't sure if
attention.
I was going to speak or not, but I got a push to come, and if I speak, I speak. If I don't, I don't. But I'm not a speaker like he is. But I feel like he was giving me like a little nudge. You have to go stand up for
Is
me.
there, could I ask you if we could photocopy your notes so that?
Sure,
if-
I have the whole from 1930 to 1932, and thanks to my cousin, Melissa. Her mother is Priscilla Sears' wife. She co-wrote the book of Yarmouth with my dad. But she's very into the digging and the trying to figure out puzzles, and so she did a lot of digging behind the scenes. So I want to acknowledge her also.
Oh, that's
So,
wonderful.
but I have that whole packet.
Oh, that's
And-
wonderful.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great to know. But if you could, maybe put your phone number or contact info on there. Also, Sandy's taking our minutes and we need to have them as complete as possible.
Okay,
So
yeah,
that
these are
we-
just scratched notes.
Well, would that help
With
you?
the
Sandy?
original documents that you read.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
these
are
yeah,
That would be
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
That's important.
Okay,
yeah.
can do
Can
that.
we do that?
I can make copies right now
Sure.
if you'd like.
Great. Thanks, Kelly.
And Linda had a
Okay,
comment.
yep,
Okay.
I see. All right, and Linda, could you come to the table so you're closer to the mic too? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Musical chairs. Yeah.
Just Linda Callahan, member of the public. Just a quick question, just so that I get it clear in my mind. When we talk about the playground, is that the whole open area? Does it go from the Simpkin School to Route 28?
Okay, so this is, I was gonna save this for our site discussion, but
And-
basically it has to do with vocabulary. And now, when we think of a playground in 2025, we tend to think of equipment. And when you think of a
Mhm.
playground in 1920, it was open space to play on. The
Mhm.
emphasis on ground, playground. So that plays into the conversation we'll have later. And it was in 1931 at town meeting, 9.03 acres of the site is the Joshua Sears Playground.
Thank
And
you.
it had a very sweet comment that they wanted a place on the south side comparable to the one on the north side for children to have healthy bodies and minds. And I just thought, that didn't go out of style. That was wonderful. So, yeah, so we have our work ahead of us. Thanks, Linda. All right, so outreach updates. Our outreach subcommittee met was that yesterday, yeah. Yesterday, and we covered a lot of territory. So actually, Linda, why don't you rejoin us at the table? Oh, and here's Dorcas, wonderful.
Sorry, just came from another meeting.
Okay, could you scooch over a little,
Sure.
Dorcas, that way so Linda can come up to the table for this part? So I invited Linda to be on our subcommittee because she has all this past information from her other committees. And so that subcommittee now is John, me, Linda, and Sandy, although Sandy's, I haven't even talked to Sandy about this yet, but Sandy's just started on Capitol this week, right?
Yeah.
And she's a chair, so I think it would be gracious of us to let her off the hook for that subcommittee. So, and Mindy.
Mindy.
And Mindy. So we covered a lot of stuff yesterday. Primarily, we were concentrating on, how do we get information out? Who do we get it to? And what is the medium for that? Also, how do we rectify the fact that our website information is not up to date? People are going into the town website and finding just a list of links and it's not organized. How can we blend with the library blasts and the library website itself so that things are in one place? So we did make some gains in that area in terms of where the site should be. We were voting for the library site because that seems to be logical. And then if people went to the town site, there would be a link back there. So then, and then we would have, the library building committee would have its own activity recorded there. Now we have stuff, it's very haphazard, but under our committee part, all our agendas and minutes are there. So
Mhm.
that part's recorded for people who like that kind of information. But, there's a lot more going on and there, the materials Matt brought with the maps and stuff, and people really get interested in that. So those are at each library now and town hall.
Are they not posted on the building committee's
Well,
website?
That's what we need to get. Yeah. I've been saying we're like orphans now because we don't have a town employee as a direct link into town hall. So the fallback has been Bob Rittenauer, he's our contact. The new town, the assistant town administrator will not be starting until November, and the new library director will be starting at the end of September. So those are going to be our two links, and that's how that's going to happen. But they're going to be new people, and there's going to be a learning curve for everybody.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So add anything in there? Do you want to talk about the trifold?
We went over the trifold. And the purpose of the trifold, again, to make sure our message is a consistent message. It would be on the website, could be handed out at the library so that people get it at the town hall, people can get it updated, doesn't necessarily remain static. So we did I think Mindy was using what, collaborative, no,
Constructive
construct-
disruption. CD.
CD had come up with and tweaked. So we had some thoughts on that, but the purpose of trying to get something that can be on the webpage as well as handed out at various things to make sure people are getting updated, correct information. So,
But the priority is to have the web page the most up to date, correct? That's
Yes.
the place that,
Yeah.
and then this would be supplemental to so the web page is the primary focus. We
Right,
want to
and
make
then
sure
this would
anything on
be-
there is current and up to date. Okay.
Exactly, so that
Okay.
this would go right back to there.
Correct.
So this would have just like outline kind of
Right, summary information almost.
major issue type
Mhm.
things, but for your details, go here.
Right.
Okay, now,
Will we be passing that out at town meeting?
the town meeting, we were talking about trying to have it ready for our October.
Is there any plan to do anything this Saturday at the Arts and Crafts?
Too soon.
Too soon, okay.
Yeah, but yes to Seaside,
Yes, the Seaside in October.
yeah. And then we had ballparked another public info session for October as well.
So on the website, isn't that town responsibility to update the website? It's
There's two websites
There's
that we're
two
talking about.
websites.
There's the town website and the library website,
website,
and
okay,
that's separate.
that's separate.
Yeah,
Totally
so the
separate.
Right now, the
library has
library
been,
been driving people to the town website.
Yeah.
That's been what we've been
So the
doing.
goal is the town website, not necessarily the library website,
That should
correct?
Be the
well,
It's confusing.
it is
It is confusing.
confusing.
but I think that what Judy was saying with Bill gone, we've lost that continuity. He was fast in doing it. Now
To the town
to the
website.
town
Yeah.
website.
So Plan B is the library website. Okay,
Because they control it.
okay.
There are
I can
fewer
put things on
steps.
the library website in 10 minutes.
Yeah, there are way fewer steps. Like the main line, right to there. Okay, then, so we know what a lot of the issues are. We didn't solve a lot of them, but we moved forward with edits on the trifold, which Mindy's working on. And then, the other thing I want to tell you about is that Linda has done a webinar on fundraising because in our outreach capacities, none of you who are town employees and none of you who are a member of the committee can participate in fundraising. So we need to move forward with a separate foundation or some other 501(c)(3) entity that will do that. And so on her own, she has done this webinar training and has other background and connections to that. So why don't you talk about that and the limitations of this?
Sure, I'll just give you a brief idea. Back between the library study committee and the planning committee, another member of one of the committees and I went and talked with people at Cape Cod Foundation to get an idea of how do we start something like this? What should we do? That was the beginning of the conversation. I have a copy of what Kristen O'Malley, Executive Director, sent me with some leads, but that was back in 2019. So they may not be current. I took the webinar, which was sponsored by American Library Association, and they had 2 days worth of webinars for all the different levels, Friends, Board of Trustees, and then they went into fundraising and foundations as a separate one. And basically, it's done differently everywhere, and there's no one single way to do it. It's whatever works best for your town and your situation. So that I have lots of notes on that. Today, I actually spoke with a neighbor who is an attorney from another state, but just to get an idea of what are the steps. And a very good suggestion that she made was to look into pro bono work with an attorney. And that because we don't have any money to pay for things at this point in time. So that's one area that I just talked with her today. I'm going to pursue that through various people. I also went and contacted the AG's office in the state of Massachusetts and talked to them to find out what do they say is the what do you do first? And they are not able to recommend, but they can tell you the process. So
Yeah.
all of that is copied down. The other part was to the Secretary of State's office. And basically, all they said is they need the articles of incorporation.
Corporation.
No, they don't need anything else. So those were two things specific. I sort of played dumb and said, what do you need? What's the
Nice.
beginning? We're just starting.
Yeah.
So I've got lots of notes to, I as president of the South Yarmouth Library Association, the Friends Group, didn't want to be caught short in trying to gather things at the last minute. We're not going to be taking money right away, but we need to know how we create the structure and who's going to do it. And right now, the only entity that can do it right now is the Library Association, South and West. South is very structured in their board, but even at that, we don't have one person that would be able to take on the job to do it right away. So we have to look, what's plan B. So that's what I've been gathering, all that type of information, and happy to share it when we're ready.
Judy, one of the briefings, I think was mentioned, there's a requirement in the state program for some fundraising, isn't that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
why we're.
This is all tied
pursuing
to that.
this.
That's
Yes.
all tied to
Okay.
that.
Is there an estimated amount that they give you, that they expect you to raise? Is
What
it-
I
is it
have-
percentage of the construction costs, or what do we expect it to raise?
Well, what I have is a copy of the fiduciary scenario that was attached to the application. It's public information. I contacted Andrea, who is part of the MBLC, Mass Board of Library Commissioners. And I also had a copy of the application itself, which Jane, sent in. The attachments were not attached to that, but Andrea was able to find the attachments, which is this scenario, and send me a copy of it. And I had to find out, like, how do you come up with this? So it's based on overall costs, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know the equation that's used, and I understand that Bill Scott
Yeah.
created it. And the number that came out of should be the library's contribution was 2.5 million.
Okay.
But that was then. So I'm guessing that
When you
as,
say then 2019?
no,
No,
What was the date?
just
Grant.
recently,
Just
when
recently,
we
the
applied to
grant,
the
right,
state for the
okay.
grant.
Okay,
But my guess is that it's also based on, once the design goes in and you get construction costs, then it could go to
so
3,
it's an
4.
algorithm based on total project cost.
Correct.
That includes okay, everything.
You know,
That's what I understand it
Yeah,
to
that's
be.
what I thought too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's at a minimum 2.5 and maybe plus.
It's probably.
Okay.
Probably plus,
It's
right,
probably plus.
exactly.
Is
Thank
there
you.
is there a time frame? Does it have to be raised before the project
No,
is finished?
it doesn't have to be raised. It has to be raised before the project is
Mm.
finished, but not before it started.
Not before it
So it has
starts,
to be
okay.
done. Yes, so if the
Okay.
project is due to be, open the doors in
Whatever.
November of 2027 or 28, it's got to be done before that.
Okay, and when you talk about this, you mentioned that there's an association for South Yarmouth and West Yarmouth. Is that the vehicle that we, rather than create something, are we going to continue to use them?
That's what I
as-
was saying, that right now we could do it because we
Right.
have a fundraising capacity, but we don't really have anybody
To do it.
skilled
Yeah,
to do
to
it.
do
And I don't know what West has to offer. I've talked with Pam, who's in charge of the West Yarmouth Library Association, and talked to, just so that we're on the same page, so that we're exchanging information, and said I would be happy to sit down with your group if you would like it, and just talk about things and see what we're thinking, what would be not required of us, but what we could do and what they would be able to do. And I haven't yet gotten an answer as to
How that's gonna work,
getting
yeah.
a meeting going, but I'm happy to do that. So that we're all, now, rather than,
But at least we've
Down the
got
road.
something in place right now. If we had to do it right now, we've got a structure in place to.
we have an entity.
Have- and-
We have an
We
entity.
have an entity.
Okay.
You have a 501c3?
Yes, we're
Yeah.
501c3
You do have,
public
okay,
charity.
yeah.
Yes, we've got
Great.
everything we need for it.
Okay, great.
The South
a big
Yarmouth Library.
step,
I don't
actually.
know what West has, and I assume they are the
They are
same, but I don't know. Yeah.
And
I
they
just-
both,
Yeah.
do you have two different tax identification numbers?
They
for
are
that?
completely
Yeah.
separate organizations.
Okay,
Separate
good.
Both organizations predate,
Good.
ran the libraries before the libraries were run by the
Good.
town.
Yes, they
So
own the
they've been
libraries. They own them.
501c3s for a long time.
Yeah, right. So, I hope that helps, just knowing how it can all fit together. with the project.
Okay, so I'm really liking having the subcommittees because they can focus on tasks. It's fewer voices, it's fewer people can kind of really get into it. What we identified were things like we need a website, we need to maybe have a video, we need to have a podcast taped, whatever. And that may be an opportunity for another subcommittee, and Mindy has some links to Sturgis to get volunteers for the kids to participate in. And that's not just, for the library building committee, it's other things that go on in the library. But if we might want to look at recruiting some kids who have some tech background or tech interests to do that.
Judy, you mentioned that the committee could not fundraise, is that what we could not?
Correct.
So we,
No participation.
so we can't say to someone, give us $5? No, okay, but we can obviously talk as a committee.
You can tell them to go see somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, but we can talk as a
Can't say
committee,
directly,
correct?
can't
And
directly.
can we come up with ideas for the fundraising committee? Is that,
It might get a
Kosher
little
really have to be-
cloudy.
Couldn't they give them to you and then you
I
give them to
suppose.
a subcommittee
Or maybe.
whatever?
I think we just cannot be.
You're on shaky
discussing it.
ground. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're on shaky ground.
yeah,
You
even
better,
even generating ideas and stuff? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I know.
But I do think going back, right, 2.5, before doors open, that's a task
You should-
that
It's
to get
gonna be a
started.
big, it's gonna be
Yeah.
a big task, and that's why we talked about it, I think, a couple meetings ago. But one thing, you should go look at Eastham, because I believe they raised in their libraries, pretty good size, not quite as big as what we're looking at. They raised close to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was above what they were, the formula or,
Mm.
but
or how long.
I don't know.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the thing, I don't know.
do you know how much the town, kicked in? You need to have the state, the
don't know what-
fundraising and the.
Yeah, I
town.
don't know. That's
don't know
all
how
I know.
much-
That's,
yeah.
yeah, I just know that it was close to 5.
Probably on the funding center.
It's probably on the fund, yeah.
Anybody else have anything for the subcommittee?
Can I just?
Sure.
It's a lot of work.
Who's gonna
Thank
do
you,
the
Linda.
outreach to the West Yarmouth Library to see where to make sure that their association is up to speed.
I've already spoken
Yeah.
with Pam.
Okay.
She's the
Okay.
president of it,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I spoke to her because we met in person and then I didn't hear anything. She and Kay Delaney came to the last public meeting. So I know that they're keeping up on things.
Okay.
Okay.
yeah.
And I reached out to her again to say any news on what you'd like to do.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Linda. I was trying to figure out where some other comments
The
fitted.
the only other
What did
one
you have?
is the 24 by 36 sign.
Oh,
the
that's
22
what it was.
posters.
Yes, yes. So, and that's what I was trying to link it in with. Sandy, Tom and I met with Bob Rittenauer and went over several issues because things were not finalized with ROPM and the contracts with the architects. My understanding, and somebody there, raise your hand if you know differently, have finally been done and everything's inked in. Is that correct, Jen?
Yes, as far as I know. I don't know, my picture's not showing up, but yes, ours was finally done in, I want to say the very beginning. It was like the day that Bill was leaving. And then I believe Odinzello's was done just last week when the questions kind of came up with Jen Mullen about
Okay.
what was going on with them. So I think, and I know Matt's on here. I don't know if he has capability to talk and chime in, but yeah. So we're finally good with that. Both of those contracts, ours and theirs, go to December 31st. And I really, really want to make sure that we get them started sooner, or at least get the execution of them going before, like, so that we don't have the same delays this time.
Okay, thank you. Matt, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, just to confirm, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. We did get a signed contract from the town last week, so we are all set, and actually our first invoice has already been processed.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so
Mhm.
we went over that aspect. We also went over if we could have some money for the information signs. And Bob said, yes, we could have some. And these would be like the political signs on the wires, and they would poke
Mhm.
into the ground and would be at the libraries, the schools, the dump, the senior center, wherever we decide to put them. They're $22 a sign, and Bob asked us how much money, and I was kind of on low ball, and Sandy said 250. So, that would be like 10
What are the
signs.
fans gonna say?
Well, we're working on that. The committee's also working on that,
Okay.
and they're very,
Yeah.
some, do you have the?
No,
mock-up for that
I don't
one?
have that.
I
I
have
think
a-
again, the thought process having
separate
QR
folder
codes
for
on
that.
stuff so that they can be linked back to
Mhm.
the right place and
He did
change
say
the
they
QR
had to be
code.
informational
It's
only.
like this kind, yeah, it can only be informational. So this kind of a format. And we talked about this picture. We didn't like having this like picture of, we're not committing to this. So what would that be? And then stretching this out a little. So it's still in the works, but that just kind of a really simple one with the QR code big enough that you could shoot it from your car, you know, from if you were driving by it. So that was that. I'm good with that.
Yep.
We good?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Or if you were like parked somewhere. because
Could you
I-
speak up, hon?
Or if you were parked somewhere, we're not supposed to be using phones when we're driving.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I
Well,
was
you put them
thinking
at the
it-
pickup line at school.
Yes, the
Yeah,
pickup
the
line at
pickup
school.
line.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, yeah. Or you're driving, you know, out of the library parking lot. Put it in park, then you can do it.
Passenger can do it.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
Better, yeah, that would be even better.
Okay, I would like to skip over the rough outline for October right now. Because the outreach committee's working on that. And then I would like to reorder programming ideas down a little bit. The open meeting law training, actually, I kind of gave that to you out of sequence, so that's really our only feedback from that. Now, site and programming updates is pretty meaty tonight. So the site update really happened on Tuesday at the select board meeting. And a woman named Nancy Trafton, who has a significant history with the town of Yarmouth. She lives in West Barnstable now, but she served on many committees here. And I ended up talking to her for about a half an hour today. But she was here, she served on the Yarmouth Planning Board for about a decade, both as clerk and chair, Sign Code Review Committee, Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee, and the Land Acquisition and Town Property Committee. And so she has a lot of experience, and while she was in these positions, her committee was responsible for identifying and recommending the taking or friendly purchase of hundreds of acres of land for open space, recreation, well field protection, and affordable housing purposes. In January 1987, they put a proposal forward to town meeting for acquiring 600 acres of land. So she was very involved in open space protections for the town and really quite passionate about it. And we had a wonderful conversation today. So she has done what I would call almost like a title search, but it's more involved with that. And I just want to take a sidebar that this group has been asking the town since our first meeting on May 1st for what the legal restrictions might be on any of the properties we were looking at. And, most recently, well, consistently and most recently on August 8th, the meeting that Sandy and Tom and I had with, Mr. Rittenhour, we were assured that the town had owned that property for 100 years and that, there probably were no restrictions, but
Probably.
but that the process that legal had to go through could take as much as 4 months. And if you just count out on your calendar, that puts us to December when we're about to submit to the state. So she brought about the history that that Kelly also talked about tonight. And so in this land, this endowment kind of sat there and then was determined not to be the purpose that was delineated. And then it had to go to the state, and it was a very specific legal process where it had,
Article
Article
97.
no, it's like, this is like way back. This is like in the 1850s, 1860s. And they had to repurpose it. So it was, because it was in probate as this particular purpose, the town had to go back and say, well, what do you think about this purpose? Would that be good enough? Does that seem like it is similar enough? And so the approval then came from the Attorney General. Sorry, I keep losing my,
You want a copy of the letter?
anyway, so that was like ages and ages ago. And then in 1927, the planning board reported that, what I was saying earlier about the healthy bodies and healthy minds. And in 31, they voted a series of articles at town meeting to secure the playground. So it wasn't acquired by the town until 1935. Just because of this whole trust business and how it came through. And the person you mentioned that it basically brokered the deal, I forget the name, Kelly, that, anyway, this other person was involved because, apparently they were in charge of the trust. So so we really also need to think about the playground and the protections. And I sent this out to you folks earlier today. Dorcas shared it this morning. So she's very sure that this is protected under Article 97 now. And
I don't think I got the message.
That's coming off Liz's email.
you didn't get an email from me today?
Late today.
Yeah, this afternoon.
Wait, yeah, late.
I got it yesterday.
No,
No, this is today.
This is
Another one.
today.
It was late this afternoon, right?
Late
Yeah.
this
Yeah, because I didn't get a chance to print, but that,
Yeah,
what you're talking about is in that email.
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's there. You have.
have to
you-
Here's the document
you
that
have
they're,
it.
that she's been referring to.
Do you have any more, or is this, can we make a copy of this?
Can make copies.
Yeah.
There you
Is this-
go.
Thanks so much.
There's another copy.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take my copy and make it.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I read it.
Yeah, we'll need it for the minutes, sure.
Mhm.
But then the
It came out at 11:30
thing
this morning, the email.
was I thought I did it this morning, late, but
11:34.
thank you.
So Judy, that was her opinion from her search, was that that's protected under Article 97. Now,
Yeah.
It's land use, it's very similar, you probably talk, as you remember, the conversation about the drive-in site. It's almost identical, absolutely identical.
Here's the question, and Kelly brought this up, that she stated that the Sears portion was 9.3 acres, am I right?
9.03.
9.03, and the whole lot is 16 acres.
So
Where
that brings,
exactly is it?
yes,
That's
so
what-
that
okay.
brings me to what is actually,
Nobody can answer that one.
what is protected and what isn't, because it would be the 9.03 acres. And so I did share this with Matt and Jen also today. And the surveyors, are coming out under the auspices of Odinzello, and they are coming back. So you know, we just need to get all of this out in the open. And this Nancy, Trafton said, you know, we're having the surveyors and the attorneys working closely is going to help this. So there may be some of what we look at there with that huge piece of property is subdivided. We already know that it's different parcels, but which parcels go with what? And then the other thing is what I was saying before about vocabulary, and that is playground doesn't necessarily mean something with a swing set on it. And so there, I think there was like a lot of conflation of that term playground with the playground that had been associated with Lawrence MacArthur. And, you know, we've heard people say, oh, my kids played on that playground, but it's, you know, it's not there anymore. But that's not really what the playground is. And that was the school playground. And so doesn't this all just go back to one place for one set of information that is accurate?
Lawyers, tell us about, can I ask a question? The 9.03, is that an actual defined, do we have a delineation for
Yeah.
that? We do.
No, well, we should, but that's what was accepted by the town.
No,
at
but I'm
town
talking about the
meeting.
actual measurements on the site. Do we know where that 9.03 acres is?
No,
I
We
don't
don't.
personally.
Okay, so that's one problem.
that's part of the questions.
Yeah, we know we have a block of property, we just don't know where it is. There could be several.
It could be smack dab in the middle, it could be over the
right,
corner, it could be.
First thing that the lawyer, the survey,
Although it's probably off to the side, because like what Kelly said was the Joshua Sears baseball, the Little League field. Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so now,
Yeah.
Matt, do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I just was gonna say, we have gotten a partial survey now. So as you know, this property is two different parcels, both owned by the town, parcel 50 and parcel 60. Parcel 50 is where the fields are, parcel 60 is where the Bridgewater State Building is. They have surveyed at this point the parcel 50, the open space currently. And I just did a quick area takeoff, and that parcel is about 9.2, almost 9.3 acres. If you take a square footage of that boundary. So as a
Okay.
frame of reference, that entire parcel is about 9.3 acres.
That's right.
Well,
Right.
That's
almost-
handy.
Yeah.
That's almost the whole
Matt.
point. That's a
No,
lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot, but that's all contiguous, right, Matt? That's all one
That's-
piece of.
That's one piece of land. And,
Okay.
interestingly, if you look at Google Maps, the baseball field that is to the west of that parcel, those two baseball diamonds that are accessed from the parking lot behind the Simpkins residences, those are actually labeled as the Sears Memorial Field, which is outside of the area that, where the Seaside Festival is typically. So
right, right.
it's unclear what the actual limitation of the original Sears Memorial Playground was.
Okay, so then the other parcel would be about how much? Where
60.
Bridgewater is?
No, Bridgewater.
It looks like it's a little bit bigger. So, I would say it's 10 plus acres probably.
Okay, and the estimate for our needs was 5 to
5, 8 or
6?
something.
Yeah,
Five
5 to 6
7.
acres?
5.85 or.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually while you guys were talking, I did a kind of very rough calculation of, if you took the diagram that we presented at the community presentation.
Well, TV's bringing it over as you speak.
This is very, very rough, so don't quote me on any of these numbers. But if you look at the area that we were sort of reserving as open space for town common, that's somewhere in the 5 to 6 acre range. And then the kind of remaining triangular site where we were sort of reserving for library and parking, alongside the eastern edge of that open space would be the balance of that. So, somewhere in the kind of 3.3 to 4 acres roughly. So Just again, just as a frame of reference.
Okay.
So
So this
Okay.
whole parcel, is this a parcel line that I'm pointing to? Can you
The
see?
white, the
can't-
white
can't
dotted
see
The
it.
white dotted line is the
You
parcel line?
Can't see you.
Oh.
I can't see. Can you go over here where Joe is?
I'm sorry. Didn't know we were gonna have this demonstration. But so the lines of the there's a white dotted line here.
Yes, that's the
runs-
dividing
That's
line
the line of
between,
the parcel. So this
yes,
is parcel 50 and this is
Yep.
parcel 60 over here.
that's right.
Great. That's
And
very
that,
clear.
that parcel includes the taking of the Wood Road little triangle, correct?
So,
We're
so
gonna-
the parcel as surveyed does not include that triangle.
That's not inclusive. Okay.
Yeah, when I did the quick area takeoff of that, just to see, you know, in our diagram, what is the area of that open space, I included that triangle. And so, and that's where I was getting the kind of 5.5 to 6 acres, depending on how you draw that.
Okay. And there's no problem with ownership on that triangle? That's strictly owned by the town?
I'm not sure we can say anything.
Yeah, I would
Well,
not.
that question has to be answered too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now, John.
Yeah, so the other question is, since we don't know where that 9 whatever acres is, and the property line goes to the bottom where the parking lots are, could the parking lots actually be inside of the playground, and how did that ever happen?
Well, it's just the edge of the parking lot, though.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, right.
If you
How did
impinge,
that
you
happen?
impinge.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah, how was that allowed to be impinging?
Unless
Yeah.
you got an easement.
Well, you got an easement, but who gave an easement if,
No, the easement is just for the passes,
Right.
for the
Yeah, but
access road.
well, let's not speculate.
yeah, yeah.
It's already,
Right, and
it's
that's
already
another,
complicated enough.
that,
We did
Let's not
see, we
speculate.
did see that in writing, though. We saw the easement agreement in writing. Okay,
All right, so what is the timing on this? How
Yeah,
is
that's-
this all is going? What is the lawyer said 4 months. Is there any way it could be done faster?
well,
than
no, the
4 months?
lawyer didn't say that.
Who said that?
Bob said
yeah.
that.
Oh,
Bob
Bob said 4 months?
Mhm.
Wow.
So,
It's a title search. The deeds have been done, but the
Which-
title search hasn't been done.
but she basically did this.
And the title search is where all this is gonna, I can tell you that the select board is asking the exact same questions that you're asking
This
right now.
Nancy
And it impacts
Jackson
not only,
did it.
it impacts not only your project, but it also impacts the town common.
So while I was
And
talking
we've been
to,
asking since last March for this.
so when I called her, she was actually in the middle of an email exchange with Mark about the town commons. So, you know, here we are going to this former volunteer committee member for information. Bob's out until Tuesday.
It all comes
So-
back to legal.
Yeah,
just
it
comes
does.
Back to legal.
But-
And the select board, I can tell you, is on this as well. I mean, we want to know.
Definitely.
Because there is a great possibility that you may be submitting to the state prior to our having an answer as to legally to even have this land.
I would not want my name on that.
I think that's part of, don't we have to prove that you have ownership, that have the ability?
You have to show that you own what you're gonna build on.
So the bottom line is we have to put a fire and a legal
Yeah.
their act together and get it out to us in ample time for the answers to all of
Now,
these
do we
questions.
still have, that's still the legal services, that's still under contract? We used to have our own in-house person. Do
No.
we
No, it's under
contract for legal
contract.
services in addition to having?
We don't have anybody.
I can't really speak to who it is,
Okay.
other than the fact that we, the select board, have been asking for this for quite some time. I'm not surprised that Mark has called and trying to find the answer out for his, because it's impacting both of these studies. And one of the first questions we keep asking is, where specifically is this playground?
Yeah.
And no one yet has been able to tell us.
And-
It's somewhere on the property. So we have to identify where that is. We have to get the search done. It was telling to me personally as a select board member to see Smith versus Westfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that played, I mean,
Hugely.
and that was a school going on.
And they tried to,
Playground.
they tried to go back. She told me today on the phone, it's more than what's in there, that the town of Westfield tried to go back and say, do the property swap.
Yeah.
Where, well, if we're gonna use this protected land, we'll buy this land
Swap it.
and they wouldn't even let them do that.
No, and
So-
that came from the
And
court.
even given the history that Kelly gave, this could go back way more than 100 years.
Uh-huh.
Because you're talking about
Sorry,
the
I
same
came in
parcel.
late, Kelly, and missed all that.
But it can,
Are you Kelly Sears?
yes.
Are you Joyce's daughter? I thought you looked just like your mom. She used to work for me at Heatherwood, right?
So, okay. So what do we do now? How far do we let our contractors go before we say, time out, don't spend any more money, because we're not even sure we can, what if, worst case scenario, it is right in the middle of the, the site or too close to one of the lot lines?
Well,
How far-
this all came up at our Tuesday meeting. Bob was already scheduled to be out of the office.
Mhm.
So we really have to wait for Bob to
to come
come
back.
back next week. We don't have an assistant town administrator they can speak to. I can tell you that this is a priority for the board, regardless of the library project, because it is with monies that have been already appropriated from town meeting for the common.
Yeah.
And so we have to have an answer. And bottom line is, waiting to December when maybe sort of coulda isn't gonna
Not gonna
work
work.
out. So all the way around, we're all saying that we're gonna have to put this on a fast track to get an answer. And
Also, to take it a step further into absurdity, depending on the answer, this could also affect the thinking about what's gonna happen at Matikes.
right,
If in
Absolutely.
fact this turns out not to be the state of play,
right.
do we roll it back and think about having a civic common
Right.
at Matikes? And try to figure this out and have this a commercial common?
Right.
So there's lots of
Right.
development
That's a
riding.
common issue. I think we need to focus more on the library side of
But,
this.
yeah.
The common, we can deal with that later, but I don't think we slow this down until we get.
I think you keep doing
We
what
keep
you
going,
need to
we
do.
keep
Oh,
going.
There's nothing else you can do.
Correct.
Russ.
That's, and I think I said that in an email. I think we stay the course.
That's right.
And we do what we're doing. And if somebody says, no, the chip has to go over there, then we'll go over there. And we'll make whatever adjustments we need to. I never use quite so many nautical analysis. But
I can
anyway,
assure you that the select board is on this and we understand the urgency here, for all of us to get an answer to this one,
Yeah.
so. It's
So-
not something we're gonna let go
Yeah.
and say, oh, let's just wait until they maybe kind of sort of come back
So
to
there's
us.
a possibility that we're gonna have to build the building somewhere else?
well, I
Well,
think,
if
Worst
we
case
find out
scenario.
we don't have the site,
Yeah, we have to,
Then-
but.
then
the
you're gonna have to
architects should
move
know
this up.
about it right now.
they're here.
Hard for them.
They're here.
I mean, like, it's gonna be hard for them to like change.
No, I know, but
location.
as soon as I had the information, I sent it to Matt. Yeah, and he's here, so he's,
Like,
I mean,
if they
it's all
design it,
involved this week.
if they design it for that field, it's gonna be hard to move it. I mean,
So
you know,
what-
the design, it has to be different.
that's their job,
That's
so
their
we'll
job.
let them do that. Yeah.
We have to keep doing what we're
Right.
doing.
And,
Yeah.
and it could be that there's enough space on that adjoining property, and so we don't have to go back through site selection and eliminate. We just need to
Move it.
Move
scooch
it.
over and maybe part with a couple of trees, but, do what we need to do to get it on a site that we actually have clearance for.
Yeah.
Now, I did see, did you want to chime in, Kelly, on the location?
Trying to determine where
Mm,
the Sears Memorial Field is, or
Yeah.
the playground. And if my dad were here to speak.
You could
he
walk us
would
God
right
say
love
up.
him.
That's the whole, like,
Yeah.
across from where Bridgewater is, or the,
Oh, across.
wherever. That whole area is the Sears Memorial Field.
So-
That's what he would say.
Yeah, so Sandy and I went,
can't prove that because I don't have the,
right. Oh, I thought maybe you were gonna say we have it in our archives, but
I'll find it.
your cousin, put your cousin on it. So we went over and there's a, you know, a piece of granite there, and it does say Joshua Sears Memorial
Right.
Playground. And when you're reading that, you're facing the fields, you're not facing Bridgewater.
No.
Right.
Yeah, you're sideways,
Yep.
yeah. So I think that's also
The
in,
dot that's under the memorial that's under the flagpole, or the one that's on the school, because it was.
it's by the school.
There's two plaques. There's
Well, there's-
one on the stone and one on the.
There are two places plaques, but when we were there, the plaque on the back was not not there. So I don't know who knows about that, but
Judy, can I
Yes.
ask Matt a question? Matt, how far can you go until you need absolute certainty on this site issue? How far can you go in your planning and your drawings and
process.
before you come to a stop dead, I can't go any further till this is answered?
I mean, it's a great question, which does not have an easy answer. I will say that buildings are site specific, and we are a firm that focuses pretty heavily on site responsive design, right? So where the building goes has a huge influence in general, and in particular for us, on the shape and organization of that building. It takes its cues from that site. You know, you do have the kind of relief valve, I guess, if you can call it that, of parcel 60, which is certainly big enough.
Right.
The challenge with parcel 60, in my mind, is the Bridgewater State Building, which I don't know when it was built, but there's no question that as soon as we touch that building, it's got to be brought up to code. My understanding is that it is not structurally suitable for a library in terms of the required live loading for shelves. And you're inheriting all of in addition to the code compliance issues, you're inheriting the kind of physical limitations of that building, right? Its dimensions, its length, its height, that may or may not align with your program. I mean, it's possible that we could look at it and sort of take out some of the smaller rooms, reprogram it. I have no idea how big it is. My guess is it's not big enough to accommodate your full program. So it would either have to be a renovation addition to that building or a tear down of that building, frankly, which may be the cleanest and simplest. Renovations are not necessarily a cheaper solution, especially for an older building.
Matt, can we interrupt though? Because short of even touching Bridgewater, wouldn't there be, in 6 acres, wouldn't there be enough cohabitation for the library and the existing building?
I'm just pulling up Google Earth now to look at it. I mean, so there's the area that is northeast of the Bridgewater State Building, which is wooded. Yeah. I think Phoebe, I think it's off the map in the.
Off the map.
Yeah, we didn't, in our diagrams, we did not include that full parcel.
No.
Okay.
If you are, am I able to share? I could put the image up on screen.
To share? I think from our end you are.
Okay, let me see.
When we did the site.
I'm not a panelist, so I can't share. I don't have that option.
Wait a second, maybe let's upgrade you then.
How do invite, go down to invite, go up to panelist.
Yep.
Up to panelist. Go down to invite.
Oh, yeah.
See.
Oh, shoot.
Oh. Yeah.
Should we send it to his email?
There's gotta be
Yeah.
an easier way that we can.
Yeah,
let
just-
Yeah, I don't know who's logged into this.
Yeah.
Oh,
While
you know,
I'm-
go
while I'm
back.
looking at- Matt, can I quickly ask you a question?
Yeah.
On the state grant,
Go to attendees.
would it be covered that we could still be going for the state grant if you did a rehab of the building?
Yeah.
And not a tear down?
Most panelists.
This project went in as new construction, I think.
Yeah, that's my question. Is this in as new construction or could it be a rehab of the building?
So he can share.
Oh, that's a great question.
I think Jane, I think
There
Jane
we go.
mentioned that once, when, it went in as new construction.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. I think that's a question for Andrea.
Dorcas,
Um,
I can answer it.
Okay,
Okay.
Jen, what's the answer?
The answer is that the grant will cover renovation or it will cover new construction. But you have to have determined that before the grant was awarded. And so what we had applied for was a renovation of 2 existing projects. We then narrowed that down and ruled those 2 locations out, and then offered up this lot of land as a potential new site. There wasn't any specific description of what would happen on that site. So the answer is maybe.
Maybe. Okay, because
That has to be.
I don't know that that should be ruled out. I mean, I'm just telling you that in the scheme of things, what you have there is a building that we know is compliant with the chapter 97. I mean, it's not going to come into an issue for this site because it's already there. So I for one think that that would be a good thing for us to be looking at as a renovation of that building as a possibility, because again, looking at the fact that when we're looking at spending money in this town, you've got a $207 million phase 1 of the wastewater, and we now have an elementary school that we know we have to replace, and then the library. I mean, in our thinking process, that's how it's going to go, and then the library. So if there's a less expensive way of doing it, where we could use the existing building of Lawrence MacArthur or the Bridgewater Estate, however you want to call it, instead of going out and building an entirely new building, I think we have a better sell to the town.
Yeah,
Okay,
Dorcas,
so-
what I was trying to say before is I'm not convinced we would need to prove it, by way of doing an estimate and everything, but I'm not convinced that renovating the Bridgewater State building and expanding it, that building is not going to accommodate your full program. I mean, just it looks when I'm looking at a street view of it, it looks like it's a 1-story building, maybe with a partial second floor. Maybe it has a
2 stories.
Is it 2 stories? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it 2 stories with a main floor and a lower level basement, or does it have an upper floor?
It's an upstairs.
Upper
Upstairs.
floor.
It's always,
It
it's a
is.
2-story
Okay.
building and a basement, yeah.
Until we start looking at it though, first of all, there's the challenge of timing, right? There's no existing assessment of that building, right? No, there's been no structural analysis. There's been no code review, hazardous materials, review of the exterior envelope. All of those things contribute to the cost of renovating that and upgrading that building, making it code compliant. And so I can't tell you, Dorcas, that it's going to be cheaper to renovate that building and build an addition than it would be to start with a clean slate and build a new building.
And what would the cost factor be if we even just kind of conditionally looked into doing that? At least offering that as an option.
You're saying how much would it cost to do that from our standpoint, from a design standpoint?
I mean, that would end up altering your contract, obviously.
It would. I mean, I can't tell you off the top of my head, but we could give it some thought and put a number to it.
Matt,
Go ahead, Susan.
No, I was just gonna say, Tom, when you're put on your federal contract, I think any talk about moving away from what we did and we contracted for and we competed for into a reconstruction of an existing building is a cardinal change in the project.
So it's a whole
I
new
see
contract.
lawsuit
a whole new
immediately.
contract,
Don't you see that as a cardinal change?
Yeah, it's a cardinal.
Furthermore, I thought at one point Jane said, or
God.
someone, I heard someone say that when you apply for these grants, it's either new construction or it's rehab. And once you put your flag down, that's what it is. So we got money for new, that was my.
We didn't
that
get
was
what-
my
what-
understanding.
well,
Just an
What,
understanding.
my understanding on top of that too is if you had a structural assessment done and proved that the
Right.
building was able to be rehabbed, then you could do it.
Right, but that's not what we asked for.
Right.
Right.
But-
We asked for a library is what we asked for. We didn't ask, and there's no specification to say use an existing building or build new. So I don't think, actually think it's not a cardinal change. It's just asking them to take a look at a different direction. Matt, my question to you is there room on that parcel
Yeah.
Yeah.
without using the existing building? I know we'd have to clear trees and you got property line along the backside of that. Is there room? Is there 5+
Space,
acres in
yeah.
there to do it?
And back to the existing building.
From a purely numerical standpoint, yes, but you remember the exercise we went through on the field site. I would not propose putting a library here, right? That's hidden, it's hard to access. If you try to put it in this corner and clear trees, we actually looked at this a while ago, and this is a dead flat site except for this corner, and there's a pretty deep ravine sort of in this area that makes and possibly even, I mean, we don't know because we don't have any information about it, but it's possible that because of that depression, there's wetland there. We don't know, but that would be a very difficult place. You'd have to fill it, and if it's wetland, then it's off limits anyway. So I don't know, but that becomes a more difficult corner. And frankly, that's of any place on this parcel that we would consider putting a library, that would be it. Because it's close to the street. It has the potential to have some natural buffer around it. So, I would say it's either that or it's, the site of this plus something else, some other wing that's going to give you the additional space that you need, plus parking. It's going to be difficult to do it working around the Bridgewater State Building, in other words.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, well, let's get some information before we all
All right.
cry.
So, yes. All right, so
Thank you, Matt.
it's been a busy day and trying to track all this down, but I think we have some clear directions, for Tuesday. I'll be in touch with Bob to request maybe a little pressure on legal, or that we get bumped to the top of the list there, or however it has to happen so that we get a response.
Question?
John?
If it's high on the select board's
Yeah.
privy, shouldn't they be pressuring Bob?
They are going to be. I
Yes,
can tell
but
you
we
that there are
also-
calls
Do the
in
phones light up and
already.
just,
That's what we want, yes, yeah. I also reached out
Doesn't
to
hurt to have
Tracy
more people
today.
saying it at
Light
the
up the
same
phones?
time. That's it.
Judy, when we had the
will.
meeting with Bob, he distinctly told us this was his main priority.
He did.
And so he's got to stick to that comment.
Mhm.
That this it was going to be his main focus going forward. Blah, blah, blah.
I know. And then Tuesday night, though, the select boards worked on their goals and priorities but that was based on your retreat from July, and we met with him after your retreat. But that is what he said to us. He said, I want to get this done. The library is.
Well, the common, remember that the common also is on our select board goals.
He
And
did
this
not
same
talk about the
impact
common.
is there, whether it's
Yeah,
the
correct.
common or the library.
Yes, right. It's just so critical to me, and to have somebody who was so passionate about what she did for our town come back. Well, first, before she came, she was in, county office building checking out these things and what she educated me a lot on this with the title includes probate. And so that it's not necessarily like a deed restriction that might appear in like the
Well, that's
last
it.
20
It's not in the
years.
deed, it's in the title.
Yeah, yes. So,
They've done the
It's
deeds. The
different.
deeds are done and there was no
Yes,
problem on the
yes.
deeds.
and
This
that's
is title.
so a lot of times it's not the answers, it's the questions, if you ask the right question. So if you
Right.
say, is the deed clear?
Yeah.
Yes, the deed's clear, but that was not the right question.
Better to find out now.
Oh, yeah.
than
Absolutely.
like 7 months from now, when we're, deep into it and trying to get a grant and have some, junior lawyer
Yeah.
as a project decides to research all this and raises their hand and says, by the way, you guys are working on property you don't own.
Right.
Law school student could be
Right.
even.
This is one of these law school case study things.
No, we don't want to be them.
No, we do not. wanna be-
Okay, so, in looking back at our agenda, in terms of programming updates, I don't think we need to visit those kinds of topics tonight because, that may not go anywhere. So, or it may go totally different. So we're in a big pause, except for the outreach committee and the fundraising aspect. So those things can keep going forward because those are a matter of getting things organized, pointing people to accurate information and making sure we have accurate information in those places. And that's what we need to do. If this is determined to be a totally inappropriate site, then we would have to revisit the site selection process, go through that with the public, go back through the remaining sites that we ruled out for reasonable considerations, but that would be where we're going. I don't want to invest a lot of time in that now when we have other things that could be moving us forward, but that would be what we'd have to do. So,
Judy, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Sure.
In the meantime, would it be helpful for us to reach out to our various consultants? And we do this a lot, these kinds of building assessments. Would it be helpful to at least have a team assembled with a structural engineer, an exterior envelope engineer, hazmat consultant, engineer to look at mechanical systems, and have that, tell them what the scope is, how quickly could you do this, and how much would it cost, so you have an idea of what it would do to do a full assessment of that building and a time frame.
Please.
All right, then
Okay,
why don't we start that?
That might be, I do have another point though. A couple of years ago in Capitol, we approved facility studies, and I don't know if that building was in
It
the
was not.
facility. It wasn't. Okay, so that was
No,
my
yes,
caution.
Matt, please.
And wait a
Yeah,
minute, Joe had
okay.
another comment.
Wasn't there a lease conflict?
There is.
There
Well,
is, but we understand
We
that.
can
That's,
solve that.
that's,
That's a
that's,
solvable
that's
issue.
solvable. I
Yes.
mean, that really is solvable.
Leases are easy to solve.
It would be helpful to know, Matt, because if you're gonna
Yeah.
come back and
True.
say it's a no
Oh,
deal,
yeah,
then it's
agreed.
very easy for us to walk away from that and look at it,
Yeah.
the alternative.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
I guess the
please.
biggest question, obviously, there's the financial cost of it, and is that something
Right.
that the town is willing to take on? The biggest question from my perspective is how long will it take? And at what point can we confirm the suitability of that building or not, to be considered as library? And then there's if they say, okay, it's serviceable, but it needs X, Y, and Z, it's going to then take us some time to sort of think about how the building would fit in that building, or that building plus an addition or whatever. We'd have to go through that process. It's conceivable that we could do that and still meet our obligations by the end of December. But that, and that's really the end goal. That December deadline is fixed.
Right.
But I think it's possible.
Matt, I just want to ask Jen. Jen, do you have any opinion on this?
I'm a bit concerned, I get it. I understand why we're here, but I'm concerned about switching gears and the ramifications of now going from new to renovation. And I mean, I think Matt explained everything very well about, you know, what the risks are with that. And as you brought up, it is a change in project. What does it now do to the grant? I think there's a lot of complications with it. And it does concern me about the timeline. As well as, I mean, obviously the legal pieces of it and the grant.
Okay,
But isn't there, Jen, some way that we could at least know initially if it's even a possibility without upsetting the apple cart? I
or
mean,
rule out.
right, I
or-
mean, like,
or-
if
or-
Matt's saying that right off the bat, these experts are saying you're crazy, it's not gonna work, it's a tear down, then everybody's gonna know
Tear down.
it's a tear down.
Yeah.
You mean moving forward and having Onzello just kind of
Yes.
look at this as a potential?
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
Right.
yes, just
Well,
that little
packages.
Just
question.
that little question, because if that question right from the beginning
Please, no.
is no, then there is no course of
Then
even
exactly
thinking
clear,
about
exactly.
doing that.
We won't
Yeah,
waste
and
any more energy on it.
it's a matter of how deep you want them to go. If it's kind of like
No,
he has his consultants go out there and just kind of take a peek around and walk through and,
that's
you
what
know,
we're saying.
yeah,
That's what we're
yeah.
saying, is we just want to you know, if they're coming back and saying, forget about it, then forget
Yeah.
about it.
Especially if the building has asbestos in it.
Yeah, I mean, there could
Because
be
that's almost-
all manner of things in there that we have no way of
Sure,
knowing.
there's asbestos.
Yeah, well, so then
1930 something.
then that alone, cleaning up the asbestos is.
Then it becomes a tear down.
No. not
Then it
like-
becomes-
Asbestos,
even
lead
tearing it down,
paint,
you have to
you
tent
can
the
buy
whole-
all those things, PCBs,
expensive.
all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Good grief. Okay,
Just
All right.
just a little dip in the water,
Right.
a little
Yeah.
baby toe in the water, that's it.
okay. Now, thanks, Jen.
Yep.
Okay, so Matt, you can move along with that.
Thank you, Matt. I
Yes.
appreciate it.
And we will do what we need to do here as far as our local things. And I also have been very neglectful, David. I didn't even introduce myself. I see why you were skipping now. Judy Farber. Hi. David Aronson is our new library director.
Oh,
And he's
good.
here on his own time, way ahead of schedule. So we thank you for coming to visit and see us in action.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to working with you.
Okay, likewise. So that's who that guy is over there.
We did do some introduction.
Yeah,
before you got
before I flew in at the end, okay. Okay,
Next meeting, Judy.
next meeting, I believe is 9/11.
We
Thursday.
certainly have all answers, and certainly in legal, let's hope and pray that we've got.
Yeah, and I don't see that we
Firm
can,
time for.
we can squeeze another one in before that.
No.
Okay, so
What, is that 6 o'clock here?
6 o'clock here, yeah,
I'll be on Zoom.
you'll be on Zoom. Okay, thank you. Sandy, and you'll be away.
I'll be away.
Okay, all right, but if you're on Zoom, so we'll still.
You're out of the
Yeah.
country, aren't you?
Am I-
Good for
All
you.
right.
9/11 is what day? Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, I'll be on.
Okay.
Here at the South Yarmouth
Here,
Yeah.
you'll get,
Library.
you'll get the agenda again, but it's always good to just have it on your own,
You've already given us, the last meeting of September, the
Yes.
date, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it already on my schedule.
And then I have another one in for the 25th also.
Yes.
Okay, and the outreach committee does not have another meeting, but we'll probably meet again before then, just to hammer out some more things. Anything else for the good of the cause? I'll have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Sir,
Second.
all in favor?
I.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you, everyone. Motion carries.
Thank you, Matt.
In the open-
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
I was on the bus yesterday doing